Hey there, Sal here with Detailers Growth. Today we are sitting back again for our third installment of our weekly highlights call. So I'm sitting down with our team members. We have Alejandra, Anthony, Radu, and Claudia. And today we have a very fascinating topic. We're going to be talking about in person consultations, kind of how to approach them, because I think one of the biggest things that we hear from clients are like just the details of what an in-person consultation should look like, how to kind of get somebody from the phone or via text to come in and swing by your shop, or you go to them to their garage or driveway, whatever the case is, but kind of how to structure that. So first thing I want to talk about is keywords to listen to on the call or over text to kind of get a good feel if that person is actually open to an in-person consultation. So one of the best ways that I think to look out for this is simply by listening to their voice. And I think one of the biggest things that you will notice is hesitation. So they're hesitant, not necessarily on the price or scheduling or anything like that, but the job itself. If there's any hesitation around them scheduling and pulling the trigger, putting the deposit down, that's when I would really lean towards not the close, not collecting deposit, but just getting their vehicle into your shop. At least from what I've seen with other clients, you don't want to make somebody feel like you're pressuring them. You don't want them to feel like they're being pressured into putting that deposit down. So up or really suggesting an in-person consultation would be the best way to go from there. So that's kind of what I think, at least when you're on the phone or in person, is to kind of listen out for that hesitation, that uncertainty. I'm not necessarily objecting to price. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes. I think you guys can kind of hear that in their voice. There's a lot of uncertainty and you want to be able to look for it. And then that's when you shift from the close, from focusing on closing that lead to more of an in person consultation. Hey, just bring the vehicle by. Let's check out the condition of the paint so I can give you an accurate quote. So once you kind of understand and you know how to look out for that uncertainty in their voice, the next part is actually using incentives to get them to swing by your shop. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Dan or Radu, and Radu, can you really touch on how to use special offers, bonuses, things like that to get somebody to come into your shop or be open to them to you swinging by to their garage or driveway?
Yeah, of course. Because you mentioned incentives, all people love special offers. When it comes down to being drawn in, when you hear limited time available or limited spots, when you hear something's limited and then it goes back to the original price, you'll always pay more attention if you really want the service. So, an easy way to get someone in might be just a simple hey, if you can come in our shop, we can see the condition of the paint, we can check it out, we can see the condition, we can give you $200 off. If you want, we can also give you a
Yes.
quote over the phone, but it's gonna be this price. But if you're gonna come in with your vehicle, we will give you a 200 off. That might be a good offer to give some of them. Obviously, after you get the main vibe, you can know exactly if it's worth maybe giving a $100 off or 200 off, or if you want to go with something more easy, maybe a full clean, a full interior clean, exterior clean, something that just it shows them that if they act now, they'll get something for it. They'll get specific offers. So some of those things can really help the conversion rate. It can be the dollar amount off, it can be a cleaning, maybe rims, all of those things. Plus, if
Yep.
you're doing maybe PPF or any other services, you can add in an extra, maybe vehicle part for the PPF, for example. But any
Yep.
specific that you can think of, it works. Yeah.
Yeah. And one other point there with, offering an added bonus or a special offer like that is you want to tie an expiration date to that. You don't want to just
Yep.
kind of recommend it or suggest it to them on the call without the expiration date, because a lot of people will just kind of hold on to that and they'll take your word for it, and then they'll think about it for a couple months, and then 3 months later they're
Yeah.
coming into your shop like, hey man, I'm looking to redeem that special offer that we talked about 3 months ago. So I would limit it to at least a week, but you could also
Yep.
go shorter than that. You could do like 48 hours if you really want that turnaround time to really, because a lot of times, if you give people 7 days, 2 weeks to think about it, they will use up those 2 weeks, or even worse,
Yep.
forget about it entirely. Versus 48 hours, where it's like, okay, I'm going to take 48 hours to think about it, and then I'll get back to you. And then now you actually
Yep.
have something to follow up with them the following day, 24 hours after, hey, John, have you had time to think about that special offer that we, quoted you on? What do you think about it so far? One of the most important things about everything we're talking about here, getting somebody to see you in person, is you don't want to come off too pushy. You don't want to pressure them too much. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Anthony. Can you talk about why it's super important not to come off super pushy or super desperate for them coming in person, or just, earning that person's business in general?
Yeah, so the reason why you may not want to come off as desperate on phone or text is because you still want to add that value, that expectation that you're going to do very well with the job that you're going to sell. You don't want to start snowballing with lower prices just to get them in. You want
Yes.
to stay firm with your pricing. You want to, yes, be excited that you're going to get them for the in person, but just enough so that they don't smell that sense of desperation in your voice, like, oh, this person has to sell me, because
Yeah.
then they're at an advantage. And you want to maintain your composure. You want that lead to, yes, feel like they are going to be taken care of when they go visit you for that in-person consult, but just enough to pique their interest. You don't want to
Yes.
do too much.
Yeah, and I think coming off the wrong way, coming off too desperate, too pushy, whatever the term you want to use for it, it can kind of bite you both ways. Because if you're a beginner or you're just getting into coding, it can seem like you don't know what you're doing, or you're not experienced enough. Even if you've been doing codings for quite some time, coming off too pushy can also turn them off, because now they're like, wow, this person's really aggressive. I don't even know if I trust them with my vehicle. So that's also something to keep in mind. But I think that's just one of those things that you try and see how it goes. Because we have clients like Patrice with Mujo Autospawn Canada. He takes a very like straightforward approach, and it works well for him. But I think a lot of that is because of all of his experience, his reputation, his quality of work. So he can kind of come off, I don't want to say the word aggressive, but he can come off with that confidence. It's the confidence that gets people to really build that trust with Patrice and ultimately trust him with their vehicle. So, another great point to not coming off too pushy is something that I think is very important as well, which is the appearance, the aesthetic side of things. Making sure that you have a uniform, you're coming off professional, everything from your mobile unit, if you're mobile based, to the way you're presenting yourself, your shop. All of that matters. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Claudia to kind of really expand on that.
Yeah, so basically what we're talking about here is professionalism. So an appearance takes a lot of part into that professionalism, because that's when people are gonna be like, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's doing because he has
Yes.
Exactly.
an uniform, he has his trailer against your mobile with information with it and everything.
Yes.
And you need to be like super presentable as well, because you're basically doing business. You need to be serious, presentable. People feel trusted that they are giving their car to you. And we have an example of one of our clients, and he basically wears uniform, gloves. His work environment is super organized. And that's
Yes.
something that inspires trust as well. Being organized, knowing what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, how you're gonna contact, how you're gonna make everything look good to grab that attention.
Yes.
Yeah. Not only is it attention grabbing, but Claudia, like you mentioned, it
Mhm.
really helps build that trust, because if somebody isn't a previous customer or they're just finding out about you, they want to see that. They might not compliment you on the way your vehicle's wrapped or your uniforms, but it kind of helps build that confidence with them. So it's like, I know that this guy is legit. He's professional. He's not just some kid in a mobile unit or in a shop where it kind of seems less professional, maybe more casual, but it definitely helps add to the premium of selling ceramic coatings. And as far as the sales process, I want to kind of touch on that real quick, because the sales process is basically the same as the phone call sales process. You want to build
Yes,
rapport, except now you're doing it in person. So you're really able to build a more deeper connection with that person. They see you, they know you're not like,
your face to
some kid.
face.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yes. They're able to build that trust, and it just makes the sales process so much easier, which is why a lot of our clients say that they get way higher conversion rates from leads
Mhm.
to book jobs with in-person consultations. Some clients even optimize their sales process for in-person consultations. So I think all of that just kind of plays into everything we're talking about here: the confidence, the appearance, making sure all of those things line up to where the way they talk to you on the phone what they see in the videos, all of it kind of adds up. And it's not, oh, wow, your ad looked amazing. It looked professional, but I'm seeing your shop or your setup and it's like messy. Things are like,
Yeah, unorganized.
hectic. Yeah. Okay. So when you're in person, one other thing, especially if you're shop based, not so much if you're mobile based, but if you're in a shop, you really want to showcase the vehicles you're working on because now you can show them
Yes.
actual examples
Yeah.
of what you're working on at the moment. So, Alejandra, can you talk about why it's important to showcase those vehicles that you may be working on in your shop?
Yeah, because when you get the lead in your shop, you have to use it like a gallery, okay? You have
Yes.
all of their vehicles that you are working on for show the people what you are gonna do in their cars. So
Yes.
you have to show them all, let them see. And I'm not just like, hey, go to my office, we're gonna sit down and talk. No, you have to
Yes.
use all of your physical space.
Yes, and Aaron with attention to detail, and I know a couple of other clients do it like this as well, where they have a lot of vehicles in their shop. They're able to showcase, like, hey, this is a vehicle very similar to yours. Like, this is what we're working on. We're
Yeah.
actively working on it. So it kind of, again, helps build that trust. And then at the same time, if you're mobile based, I know we have a client who actually takes like a hood of a vehicle in his mobile unit and he uses that to demonstrate. One side is coated, paint corrected, and the other side isn't. So you're able to see that contrast of like, hey,
It's a
Yeah.
sample.
exactly,
Sample.
yeah. So you can actually bring that to them. It doesn't have to be a full size hood. I know Amazon you can buy like just like little display hoods at your shop, or that you can just take with you to demonstrate the benefits of coatings. And
Yeah.
then Alejandra, one other part that I want to touch on is upselling
Yeah.
because you have multiple vehicles, you have that person there with you. How can somebody take maybe like a 1 year coding package, maybe something entry level, and turn that into a higher ticket package in person?
Well, the first is when the lead comes to your shop, they're gonna see what they're gonna get. So it's a
Yes.
little bit easier to say like, hey, this is a coding. I know we were talking about the 1 year, but what do you think about 3 years? Or what do you think about adding this or that? Because in the moment, people is seeing like, oh my God, maybe a year is a little bit is a small amount of time, and I
Yes.
maybe better go to the 3 years or the 5 years. So you have
Yes.
like a good way and a good chance to explain to people and make them committed on a higher service.
Yeah, not just the
Yeah.
duration of the coding, but also the paint correction type, taking them from a
Yeah,
paint enhancement
exactly.
to a one step to a two step if they need it. But I think the
Yeah,
most important thing there with upselling is setting expectations because some
yeah,
people do just want that entry level package. Again, you don't want to be too pushy, but you also want to mention, like, hey, if you over the phone, you told me you were planning on keeping this vehicle for at least 5 years. So the 1 year is actually going to cost you more in the long run than going with our 5 year package. So it's a great way to not only demonstrate like the different levels of pain correction, but also tell them about your other options. So, yeah, I mean, just to wrap things up here, in person consultations are very dynamic. There is no right or wrong way to structure an in person consultation. I think the most important things are the things that we talked about here. You want to have the confidence, you want to be presentable, you want to go into it with a game plan, and you can use our phone call script to really guide you around the sales process. But I think the most important thing, if you were to take one thing away from this call here, is you want to be personable. You want to be friendly, right? You want them to get to know you because that's how you build meaningful relationships with your clients. I think you have a harder time doing that over the phone. Yes, you might have some high quality conversations, but in person, it's just a whole nother level. And I think once you add all of those things up, the result is higher closing rates, better experiences for your clients, better reviews. So all of these things stack up. So that has been this week's highlights call about in-person consultations. And I'm sitting down with Alejandra, Anthony, Radu, and Claudia. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will go ahead and see you guys next week. Bye bye.
bye.